Yes, hello. And I want to believe everyone is doing fantastic. Yeah, it's been a minute. So I want to do two quick videos on your dissertation. Okay. The goal is actually in the second video. So I'm going to do the first one now, a couple of days of, in a couple of weeks, actually, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, I'll do another one. But I'm more interested in the second video because in the second video, I want to talk about how to be guaranteed a distinction in a dissertation module. Now, I'm actually writing a paper for international students that I hope to get published someday about um, get about how the strategies you can use to ensure that you do get a distinction in a dissertation module, and all of these things is just based off me experience. Do you understand what I mean? So I think you'll find it valuable, I hope. But to start with, yeah, I need to talk about this one at the moment, and this one is simply going to talk about your proposal. Two things really: choosing a topic and writing your dissertation proposal. Okay, right. I'm going to start by saying I know that there are a couple of people that watch these videos or read our guide, our mentoring guide on Twitter that are not from USW or from the UK. I know I've gotten a couple of like private DMs from some other people studying in America or whatever. Absolutely fine. So let me just quickly say this is going to be more tailored towards USW in the UK. However, you can find value in a lot of things I'm going to talk about, right? It's just that I'm a bit biased towards my students, so, and I think that's absolutely fine. Okay, let's get right into it. The first thing you want to do, listen carefully, is take a minute and read as much as you can your dissertation handbook. The handbook contains structurally and in many ways, technically, all the things you need to do to ensure that one, your proposal is not rejected, because for in the UK, for the most part, when it's rejected, you don't have to write another proposal, but you can't really change the demographic of the topic, but you have to then talk that out with your supervisor. And it happened to me the first time I wrote my proposal, it was rejected. Not so much the content, but the topic. And I'll share that with you. I like to be authentic with you guys. Well, I'm glad to say I went on to have a distinction in that module, but that's not the point. The point is to let you know that you could make mistake in the first or at the beginning. So I'm just being vulnerable to all of you. And if you're my students, you know this already. I tell you my mistakes so that you don't then make those mistakes, okay? And if you engage properly with a few things I'm going to be talking about, you should be absolutely fine. So read the dissertation handbook. This is very important. This is your Quran, your Bible, your whatever it is for you at this time. Make sure, just take a minute, yeah? Read everything is a whole lot, but just scan through and understand so you can work according to expectations, okay? The next thing is choosing your topic, but I'm going to come to that in a minute. And then I'll go on to methodology. Methodology, they're broadly, for masters, they're broadly qualitative and quantitative. Listen, you're not doing a PhD. You're not trying to add to knowledge. Well, I'm not saying that to say you're not supposed to do a good job. No, do an extraordinary work, but understand that you need to keep it simple, because if you make it complex, then it's going to be really difficult. You have to do a lot of work. For example, for me, I will not recommend a mixed method. In many ways, your topic will be your topic and your philosophy, research philosophy in many ways would determine the kind of methodology you take, but keep it simple, okay? Qualitative talks about more of interviews and whatever. I'll talk about that in a minute. While quantitative talks about, taking surveys and stuff like that. I'll talk about them in a minute. And then you write your proposal. You submit, it could be rejected or approved. Don't worry if it's rejected. I just told you mine was rejected in the first part, but I'll tell you why and what you can do. Okay, and if it's approved, then you're good to go. But sometimes between submitting and getting to know if it was accepted or rejected, you lose time. Go on and start your literature reviews. It's better to have something to work and change than to have nothing at all, because the challenge then becomes a race against time. Okay, be very careful, because sometimes due to logistics, I don't know, university policies, it might take a minute before and until it's approved, you don't even get a supervisor. So that's another bigger challenge. Okay, in many ways, dissertation is a self-study. It means you're doing your research, your primary research. So your supervisor is not there to teach or tutor you. No, it's just there to ensure you're streamlined according to structures and whatever. It's essentially your work. You can as well get started, if you understand what I mean. Okay. Yes, and then the seventh part will be the second video I will do, how to be guaranteed or to ensure a distinction grade point in a dissertation module. And I'm actually writing a paper on this, like I said earlier. So having said all of those things, let's go to a sample of a proper sample of a dissertation module, all right? So, this is the way it looks like. For the most part, you have section 1, all the parts I put in red, you don't have to put them in red. I'm just, for the purpose of this video, I just want you to pay attention, yeah? The parts in red just shows you section by section. So this is my data or the data of the researcher, the student, whatever you want to call it. So for most university, it will be, for every university, it will be different. I don't know what it will be, but in many ways, it will look something similar to this, okay? Your name, your this and that. Some might take up data as email, I don't know. But the most important thing is submission date. This should be the date. The dissertation itself, not the proposal, the dissertation is to be submitted, okay? Please be mindful of that. The next will be the date over here, will be the date you intend to submit your proposal, okay? That's very important, obviously, your name. And then, so let's come to the topic. I'll make this a little bit bigger so you guys can understand what I'm talking about. Now, okay, so part of the challenge that I have is I tend to do too much, and it's just like an instinct thing. But sometimes you have to curtail that, because research, you have to be defined. Okay, you can't just go on doing just too much. It has to be clear, concise. Okay. My initial topic was understanding entrepreneurship, technological innovation, and its effect on organizational growth, a case study of micro, small, and medium SMEs. This is just too vague. It was rejected because the comment was too broad, okay? And you're not going to get data. So, and then I streamlined after going back and forth with my supervisor. We had almost 3 sections before I got it right. So the modified title become, so how I got it right was, the question my supervisor asked me is, what are you trying to do? There's no way you can understand entrepreneurship, talk about technological innovation and the effect. So you're looking at entrepreneurship, technological innovation, organizational growth, all of these things in an SME, in one dissertation, even in a PhD. This is too broad. So I understood that in my mind, I love entrepreneurship. I love leadership. I love innovation. So I wanted to put everything together and, oh, I can do it. No, you can't. Listening, you cannot. Keep it simple. So my final topic was exploring the perception and experiences of entrepreneurs regarding technological innovation and its impact on the growth of micro, small businesses. So I'm only doing one thing. I only want to get into the minds of entrepreneurs and understand their experience. So maybe someone has been running a business for the last 2-3 years and understand, how technological innovation has impacted their growth. So I'm still able to do all of the things I want to do, but just see, restructuring this took me away from doing 4 things into doing just one thing. Streamline, keeping it simple. And then because of the choice of words that I did, exploring the perception simply means I want to talk to someone. Simply, that's going to be a qualitative interview. That's going to be my methodology will be qualitative. But if you look at the first topic, that was the initial title that was rejected, Understanding entrepreneurship. I'm doing some kind of correlational, relational thing. This is quantitative. And I, for one, as just my philosophical standpoint, being the person, I don't like quantitative, I like qualitative. So the truth is, I will get bored doing almost the same thing. But so listen carefully. How you frame your topic really, in many ways, will determine the kind of methodology. Your topic could be saying something, your methodology will be wrong. This is one of the reasons people fail dissertations. Listen carefully, make sure, keep it simple. Even thinking in hindsight, I still think even this is a little too much right now. For example, in my PhD now, what am I doing? Authentic leadership in UK small business. That's what I'm doing. Very simple. There is no, and that I want to add something to the world. Like I need to contribute to a knowledge. But I'm saying, even at that, see how simple, straightforward, concise, and direct that is. Okay. So now, how do you choose your topic? I know this is where a lot of people have got a couple of challenge. How do you choose your topic? I'll give you two options. Number one, what are you passionate about? What are you passionate about? What do you like? What do you love? Make sure you do something in the line of your interest so you don't get bored when writing. For me, I did things that I love. So writing about them, I'm gaining technical knowledge and also writing to pass my dissertation. Do you understand? So the truth was, I really wanted something that will inform me as a person and also help me get better grade. The second thing is, and this is my secret, okay, and I'm giving this to you. Go and look for the 10 best topic, maybe that has 80 plus from any university of your choice. Usually university will post outstanding PhD, master topics, they'll post them online. Okay, it's not difficult to find. For USW, you already have it in your folders, but I don't know if they are graded or not. But all over the world, you've got them. Pick the 10 best in the line that you're interested in. So, for example, maybe there's a topic like authentic leadership in UK SME. Well, how about you doing authentic leadership in USA SME or in Nigeria, in India, Bangladesh, whatever? Do you understand? Look for a topic that's been done. If you're interested, find the gap. Usually at the end of those dissertations, they will talk about, oh, this research, these are the gaps. We can explore this further. Well, if you're interested, can you explore it further? But whatever you do, make sure you're defined. Is this going to lead me to a quantitative or qualitative, sometimes mixed method? I'll always advise people for your masters, you can if you want to, but I always advise my students stay away from mixed methods. Now, it's some research you have to do mixed, it's just more work to do. Okay, so those two tips will help you in picking your topic and then bounce off your topic off someone. For example, it doesn't have to be your supervisor, any university lecturer or anyone in your faculty. Just send an email. Hello, these are the topics I'm thinking about. What do you think? Usually, because of experience, they'll be able to narrow it down for you and tell you, oh, this looks like it's too broad. Or this look like, okay, obviously nobody's going to write anything for you. But for example, in my case, I had a topic that was clearly quantitative, and I wanted to do qualitative, but I've been going back and forth. It was streamlined. I did all I wanted to do, but now structured properly. Okay, so now, in the next few minutes, because I don't want to take your time in this first video, I'm just going to run through what the proposal should look like. Okay, so section one, we talked about section one. Section two, now every section should start on a fresh page. Make your word nice, just let it be interesting for the person reading. Okay, in most universities, proposals are not graded, but notwithstanding, make sure you do an outstanding job. Okay, it starts from even the basics, yeah? Okay, so for me, I'm going to take all this thing off and I'm going to keep it. So this is my topic, right? So this is my title on a fresh piece of paper, and then I'll move this to the next one. Now, summary. Summary just talks about all the books you've read about these things and all of that, so you put them there in summary. The next thing you want to do is section 3. Like I said, put each section in a fresh page, okay? Section 3, because I'm doing qualitative, I need to have research aim. Now, I also want to tell you, my supervisor advised me to reduce this from 4 to 3. Keep it simple. Sometimes you repeat the same thing. So through that advice and wisdom, I was able to structure. So this was the original proposal, but obviously it's been modified. So it was eventually in my dissertation proper, it was 3. Because in your analysis of finding in the proper dissertation, you have to check if you actually did all of these things you said you wanted to do. All these research questions, you expand them later in your qualitative interview. Now, for those of you doing quantitative, you might have hypotheses, okay, as opposed to having research. But I'm going to talk about that more in the second video, okay? Next thing you want to do is, now, what is the clarified aim? You need to understand what is your research about. So I can't read it, but you guys can pause this video and read it later. This research had a clear aim, like it was black and white, okay? Next thing you want to do is your literature review. Now, your literature review, if you do a proper work, you can actually use this in it. You can use it in your actual dissertation, okay? So and I did use a lot of, because I started reading about all of these things. Don't forget, your literature review is simply about criticality. Don't be descriptive. Nobody cares about what you have in your mind. Reference properly, okay? And here, all the things you learned in your research method, the punctuations, how to structure, in-text citations to your university standard. Every university has got their own standard, okay? I want to keep this video under 20 minutes, so I'm going to wrap up in the next 2-3 minutes, okay? But make sure you do proper work, okay? Punctuations, everything all nice and neat, yeah? Okay, your literature review. Now, I told you I tend to do too much. You don't have to do too much, okay? But what I'm saying is I used a lot of this content for my actual dissertation. So by the time I was doing my dissertation, I had massive loads of material to work with, okay? Now, research methods, you have to talk about 3 things. One, for me, I like Creswell. What research book are you using? Okay, what's your principle of ontology and epistemology? What are the things that is guiding your research method? Okay, it's very important. Okay, is it descriptive? Is it interpretative? Are you going through, for example, an explorative research design? All of these things, you find them, and I recommend 2 to you. Creswell, go and look for this book online. Creswell 2018, Brown and Clark 2019. That's all I used. Those are the 2 books I used. And I think the end result actually showed for it, right? And the next thing is you need to tell how is your data collection and sampling going to be. For me, I only interviewed 6 persons. That's it. But I justified all of these things in my research. Why this is what, and I did what is called purposeful sampling, meaning I can't just go around interviewing anyone. They have to be entrepreneurs, and this is how I'm going to get them. I'm going to approach small businesses in the UK and all of those kinds of things. So it was really clear, okay? Next thing was my dissertation overview, okay? What am I going to do in my introduction? What am I going to do in my chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5? Everything was all clear here. Later, I added another chapter 6, okay? But I'm going to talk about it in the next video, okay? Proposal is just like, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to do it, okay? And that's why I'm going deeper. Now you need a Gantt chart. You can use other form, but I like to use Gantt chart because it's what a lot of PhD students use. And to be honest, I only got to know about this thing when I checked one of the best dissertations in the UK back in, I think, 2020 or something like that. Do you understand? I just checked. I didn't know, and I read about it. So simple, so because in many ways, you will lead the conversations with your supervisor. Well, the dynamics might be different, depends on who your supervisor is. But for the most part, you will lead the conversation, okay? And this is what I wanted to do. So I made it known. Then my ethical consideration. For some universities, they all have these things. You just have to tick yes and no. If they don't, you can pause this video and look at this sample and use it to develop yours. Okay, that's for if you're not in USW. But I know for USW, it's you just have to click yes, no, and whatever. And then you have your signature, the date you're submitting. Again, your proposal and your name, and obviously your references. You cannot afford to do a shabby work in your references, because in many ways this is going to lead. And for my proposal alone, I had over 45 references. Okay, and this okay, it might be a little too much, but listen, it made my dissertation so easy because I did massive loads of work. If you're intentional before you start, I guarantee you do an extraordinary work. I hope this is informative and helpful to you all. Obviously, if you have questions, you can send me a DM. What I'd like to see is, don't tell me to choose a topic for you. I will not do that, but I want to see you come up with something, and then let's streamline that ideology, and then you can know for sure, because sometimes you can have a topic and you think it's qualitative, but it is quantitative. It happened to me, and I was so gracious. I had an extraordinary supervisor that really helped me through the process. And that's another thing. The relationship between you and your supervisor, in many ways, you have to be intentional. Make sure it's fantastic, because you can get the best, and it can really define your life and the opportunities that even you get moving forward. I hope this is helpful. I can't wait to see you at the top, and I believe that all of you listen to this conversation, this video, you will end up with nothing but distinction. I promise you, it is so easy. I'll be talking about that in the next video, on how you can get distinction. I used it for myself, and I'm telling you, it was what happened. And a couple of my friends that we talked about together, they, at least the people that I know really stuck to it, got distinction. Okay, and I want to see you have that, because in many ways, your dissertation can actually change the end result of your management or your master's studies. Okay, I wish you nothing but the best, and I'm pretty sure you're going to do extraordinarily well. I'm going to be seeing you later, and you take care. Okay, bye now.